Your next major maintenance outage, the preparation phase. A successful maintenance outage requires more than just a well put together critical path plan. There is a vast amount of preparation that needs to be completed before the outage even starts, if it is going to be successful. This lesson covers that preparation, how to go about it, and how to ensure that everything is complete on time. So in order to prepare for the next outage, let's start by placing a calendar across the top of the screen. What we want to happen here is we would like our plant to run reliably right up to the next outage. And then when we come up from the next outage, we would like it to run reliably again. Now, if we are at the moment in week 1, for example, on the left-hand side of the screen, that leaves us with a period of time to get all the preparation done. This is what I call the preparation phase. Now, during the preparation phase, one of our primary tasks is going to be to produce the critical path network for the major maintenance outage. And this would look something like this in Microsoft Project, and in the position where we could plot it out and put it on the wall before the start of the next outage, so that we could monitor progress with the same network and come up on time at the end of the outage. But we are going to need more than just the critical path network to have a successful outage. We are going to need to involve other people in the organization as well to help us with the preparation. So the first thing we do is assemble an outage management team. This management team will be covered in greater detail in future lessons. The second thing we need to do is get them to begin the team preparation. And then finally, of course, we want to monitor progress of this team to ensure that everything comes up complete on time, ready to start the outage. So let us begin with the first part, and that is the outage management team preparation. When we look at all the things that need to be accomplished before the outage can start, we realize we have to identify all the work that needs to be done during the outage. For this work, we need work orders to be generated in the computerized maintenance management system. We need work scopes to be generated, and we need network activities to be generated as well. Of course, then there's also the issue of parts. Hopefully at this stage, we have identified all long lead time parts already, and they are on order or on site so that we can start on time. Then we need to identify all the other parts for the rest of the work that we're still putting together. We have to find suppliers for these parts, order them, receive and check them, and stage the parts before the outage begins. Then, of course, there's the issue of contractors. We have to identify all the work to be done by contractors, generate work orders and work scopes, get quotes, select the contract, and tie them down with purchase orders. Of course, this involves purchasing, so we need to finalize suppliers, generate requisitions and purchase orders, and monitor and expedite the purchasing system. Of course, our primary objective is to generate the network activities and the critical path network itself, in which case we have to start by building the detailed essential work scope. Then we can build the base network, which will give us our outage duration. After that, we can expand the detail in the base network to include all the other activities and work orders that are already in the CMMS. Then we add in all the plant maintenance work, and of course add in also any inspections that need to be done to the plant as soon as it goes down. These are inspections on things that we cannot do until such time as the equipment is down or opened up. Then, of course, we have the problem of planning our manpower. So we need to allocate manpower to each of the activities so that we can adjust the manning levels before the outage and finalize the shifts and manning of each of the activities. If we find that we do not have enough in-house labor to handle all the work, we need to arrange contractors to step in and take on the workload. Of course, we also need specialized equipment that we don't normally have on site. So we have to identify the requirements for this equipment, find a source of supply, generate the requisitions and purchase orders, and receive it on site before the outage starts. Then we'll be in a position where we have a critical path network in detail that will enable us to start the outage. And this must be finalized at least a week before the outage is due to start, so that we can have a shutdown team final sign-off on the plan, supervisor final briefing, and a contractor supervisor final briefing, so that everybody understands what is expected them and what are they going to be doing during the first few days of the outage. Then we can start the outage on time, monitor progress with our team meetings, complete the outage on schedule, and come up with a single button start to run reliably to the next outage. And this becomes our window of opportunity for getting all of this preparation work done. So now, having thought about all that, what we realize is we have an activity list for the preparation phase. It includes all the work that needs to be identified, parts that need to be arranged and ordered, contractors that need to be identified, given work scopes, received quotes from, selected and purchased, all the purchasing details that need to be finalized and controlled, as well as all the outage management activities for the critical path network that we need to expand, get onto the network, and so on. Then, of course, we need to attack the whole problem of adjusting manning levels, finalizing shifts, and arranging contractors, identifying special equipment requirements and arranging those, so that we can end up with a final sign-off by the outage management team, our supervisor briefing, and our contract supervisor briefing as well, so that we can start our outage on time, monitor progress, give the team update meetings, and complete the outage on schedule as desired. Once we have our activity list for the preparation, we can start sequencing it into a network. And we begin with a very important step, and that is identifying our outage objective. What exactly are we trying to accomplish with our major maintenance outage? Once we are clear about the outcome we want, we can start identifying all the essential work scope that will help us achieve this outage objective. And then we can build the base network, which will give us the duration of the outage itself. As soon as we've identified the essential work scope, it becomes possible to identify key contractors and long lead time parts. If the long lead time parts have not already been ordered, then we need to source suppliers and generate the purchase orders. And the same applies to the key contractors. We need to get quotes and purchase orders to tie them down as well. As soon as we have the base network, we can work on our work breakdown structure to expand this and identify all the other work that needs to take place during the outage. At this stage, we basically break into two tracks that we handle simultaneously: the generation of work orders and the CMMS, and the generation of network activities for our preparation of the maintenance outage critical path network. The work orders are handled within the computerized maintenance management system, and this includes all the parts and storeroom information and purchasing details. On the other hand, the network activities and that whole track is handled within Microsoft Project, and we keep track of all the critical path network activities in the Microsoft Project file. The link between the CMMS and the critical path project is the work order number. If we start with the work order track in blue, we need to identify parts and generate work scopes for each of the work orders. Once we've done that, we have to source suppliers and generate purchase orders for the parts. And from the work scopes, we have to identify contractors, get quotes, and generate purchase orders for them. On the other track, the network activities, we have to estimate durations and enter go-to contacts, as well as resources, crafts, and contractors for each of the activities on the network. Then we can expand the network activities step by step with the background work, and at each step estimate the durations and crafts required. Once we're in that position, we can then start looking at the shifts and calendars during the outage, and then we're in a position to check the manning levels and balance the manning levels so that we can come up with a realistic plan before we generate any kind of final schedule to the plan. So this becomes our preparation network, and it enables us to create a critical path network for the outage itself. And all of this has to be complete about a week before the outage begins, so that we can have the outage team sign off, conduct a supervisor final briefing, and have a final briefing with contractors and their supervisors as well, so that we can start the outage on time, monitor progress, and complete as planned and scheduled. And all of this has to be done during the planning window of opportunity. Now if we take a look at exactly the same project or preparation phases in a time view, we see that we need to complete all the preparation and end up with a finalized schedule a little while, probably about a week before the outage starts, so that we can have a team sign-off on our plan and schedule before the outage is due to start. Then we can conduct the supervisor final briefing and a briefing of the contract supervisors. At that stage, of course, we need all parts staged, in which case all parts need to be on site even earlier. And we need to finalize the schedule a little before that as well. And in order to do that, we need our PM workload finalized, in which case the PMs for the new year need to be triggered in the CMMS so that we can upload them and include them in the plan, which means that a long time before that, we need our base logic network complete. And in order to do that, our essential work scope must be identified and documented. And even before that, we need all the long lead time parts on order. And then, in fact, we need to start ordering all the rest of the parts. So we start our first outage management team meeting way up front in week 1. In that way, we are able to build a precedence network with all the detail for our major maintenance outage so that it can start and end on time. And that blue window of opportunity is virtually all the time we have to do to build it. And this becomes our total window of opportunity for all the outage preparations. And here we have a preparation milestone indication of what needs to be completed during this window of opportunity.